Howdy, everybody. How's it going? My name is Sabina. I am the Left-Handed Alchemist, and welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about burnout. Burnout is something that I personally have a very intimate experience and relationship with. It is something that I have been in ebb and flow with since like 2021. I found something from my Instagram stories, like when you go in your archive and you can see on this day 4 years ago, I had posted a picture of a painting that I had created during a period of really intense artist block. And I would say it was my first true, thorough artist block that I ever experienced. And I was forcing myself to create still because it just was a habit that I had created for myself and was something that was like, well, if I'm not creating, then what am I going to do? So, what I would do is I would open a book to a random page, this reference book that I have, the Book of Symbols for anybody who cares. I would open it to a random page and just draw a little doodle of whatever that was. And I would just do that over and over again until I would fill pages of sketchbooks or canvases. And I think that for me, that was the beginning of my journey with burnout was, first of all, this rejection of self and where I was in the present moment and feeling like I need to just keep creating even though I have no creative energy, just in denial of the fact that it would ever come back. This idea that if you don't use it, you lose it. And in some ways that's true, art and our creative abilities are skills. Anybody who's really good at something is going to tell you that they've put a lot of work into it. Hardly ever is there somebody who's truly at a place of mastery who just picked up a tool for the first time. Mastery takes a long time, and you're never going to lose it completely, I think, but it is a skill. Like if you don't use it, you lose it a little bit. You have to rebuild that muscle memory back up. And so I was really scared that if I stopped creating, I was going to lose the ability to create. And during this time, what triggered the creative block was I went on a healing journey. Whatever. I've talked about my healing journey ad nauseum, and I talk about it in every video because I feel like it was this moment of true pivot in my life where I can mark a definable time from before to after. And I was doing EMDR therapy, a lot of somatic healing some deep ancestral stuff, the details of which doesn't really matter. And I was unmasking for the first time in my entire life. I was beginning to hold space for a more authentic version of me. And as a result, the old versions of me that I was holding as a way to protect myself from the world around me had to die. And with that, the ways that I created had to change. And I was in denial of this for a really long time. So for me, a lot of my burnout and what I was experiencing as burnout was self denial and not being able to accept where I was in the moment and see that it was going to be temporary. I was doing all of this in my early 20s, and being that it was my first experience with artist block, I think I'll know now in the future if I ever have this shift in identity again that this is just part of it. Artist block is just like part of the creative process. Sometimes you're not always going to have the most ideas all the time, and it just is what it is. For those of you who are new here, this is Cheese. He's going to pester me until the end of the video. It's just the reality of it. I can choose to kick him out, but he's not annoying me that much yet. His claws are digging into my skin as we speak. He is making biscuits in my skin, and they hurt. With burnout, it's something that I was in a cyclical relationship with. I believed for a long time that the solution was rest. And I think that in part, I did have to put the tools down. I did have to put my swords down to decide, what do I even want anymore? And it got to the point where I wanted to quit. I was running a jewelry brand, a jewelry business, and I was doing it very much by the seat of my pants. Under no circumstances was I really doing this the way a legitimate business was supposed to be run, because I knew in my heart of hearts that what I was doing wasn't really authentic to me. But I was convinced via marketing materials from the internet and books that I read and watching other people do it, that the way that I was doing it was the way that it had to be done in order to receive a level of success that I was desiring for myself and my business. So I was running myself ragged. I was working too hard. I was still very much attached to those worker bee virtues where you have to work hard and earn everything. And while I'm not saying that hard work is something to stray away from, like, hard work is definitely something to value. Putting your work and energy towards something brings value. to your life, I believe. Like, what else are you going to do? You got to work on something. Just that hustle, constant grind, lack, poor dad mindset that I was so fully steeped in from my upbringing was really making it hard for me to hold success in the way that I wanted to. Anytime I would have like a big windfall, I would just blow all the money, I would pay off debts, I would eventually end up with nothing. And I knew that the cycle was going to continue repeating until I broke it. Hence the healing. There were lots of cycles that needed breaking, lots of things that were going on in my family that I kind of realized, like, hey, I can't do this. I cannot perpetuate this. I must change or else I will actually die. And with that brought change to my business and change to my creative practice and change to how I show up in the world. And I didn't really know what I was doing. It led me to realize, like, hey, what I was doing with my business and with my creativity wasn't really working, but I didn't really know what else to do. So what I would do was take breaks that would last a month, maybe. And then I would think, I can try again in the same exact way that I was doing before. And guess what? It didn't work. It didn't work. And I consistently tried to do that for like almost 3 years. Just continually trying, failing, trying again, burning out, trying again, just the burnout cycle. I was repeating it over and over and over again. And at the end of 2024, I decided enough was enough. I'm just going to quit. I'm quitting my business. I might quit jewelry as a whole, even though I just kept being pulled back to it. Hand engraving is so much fun. Jewelry making is so much fun. I love the materials, and I'm enjoying making things more slowly, more intentionally. I'm enjoying making videos about stuff. I'm just enjoying making things that are a little bit more authentically aligned. But all the while, I'm still feeling kind of guilty. I'm feeling like I wasted all this time. I spent all these years in school and all of this money on materials and tools and schooling, and like all of it was a waste. And look at me now. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm never going to know what I'm doing. And that's just like the story that I was telling myself. So in 2025, I decided the burnout cycle was really like peaking. I quit. I didn't renew my business license. I decided I'm just going to do this as a hobby again. I can't keep doing this. But I was still kind of trying to do it. It was like my neural pathways were wired towards continuing to bang my head against the wall over and over again, trying to hack social media marketing in a way that just wasn't really going to work for me. Like, really? And then I found this book that I can't remember off the top of my head. And it taught me about breaking the stress response and breaking the stress cycle. And that's when I changed my relationship with physical fitness and started to become more familiar with my personal patterns of stress and recognizing that in moments when I really want to quit, it's probably because I have too much on my plate and I'm being spread a little bit too thin. So, what can I do to take a step back and not react when I'm feeling that way? How can I take care of myself and take a little bit off of my plate in the meantime? And this is when the shift for me coming out of burnout and not identifying with being in burnout anymore starts to take place, because I think that part of me was really identifying with this more victim oriented narrative that I don't know what I'm doing and I'm never going to know what I'm doing. Everything I feel like I'm supposed to do in this life isn't true, and that's just basically like delusion, and that I'm not that special and I'm not that cool and I should just be okay with a small life. And in some ways, yeah, like, why be attached to this idea of any of it? Like, the attachment that we have to the outcome, I think, is something that we need to address. Maybe it is supposed to be different than we think. Maybe the ideas of what we think are supposed to be are rooted in some kind of like programming that someone in our family or in our lives put in our head as far as who we're supposed to be. And I think that goes into a conversation about authenticity that maybe isn't going to happen right in this moment. Maybe we'll get to that later in the video. I saw this video on YouTube a couple months after reading this book that really put it into place for me. It was a Japanese lady talking about a more Eastern approach to burnout and saying that rest isn't really what you need. It's more akin to authenticity. We're burning out so frequently in our culture because we have been conditioned in many ways to be people who we are not. to live up to expectations that are not ours and truly aligned with who we are and our authenticity, who our parents want us to be, who society wants us to be. It's easy to bend to that because it's a path. Oh, my dad wants me to be a lawyer. I guess I'll be a lawyer. Then I don't have to think about what I'm going to do with my life. But when I become a lawyer, I'm miserable because I never really wanted to be a lawyer. My dad wanted me to be a lawyer. And I went through all these years of schooling, and what a waste if I don't go through with it. But then you're like low key miserable and burnt the fuck out all the time. That's just an example. I think that for me, the unraveling of my life began when I started to unmask, and I was unmasking from these expectations that my parents had from me and these safety mechanisms that I had built up around myself and my personality in order to not be fucking abused. And when I got to a place of safety and true like somatic level understanding that I'm safe and the masks could come off, I started to realize, oh shit, I'm not doing what I really want to be doing. I don't really know what I want to be doing, but what I feel in the core of my belly is it's not this. And so the tension and the resistance to show up to work on a business I couldn't give one single figgity fuck about was burning me out. And so recognizing that the healing that I went through was a grand realignment in helping me become more acquainted with my authentic self, and that the burnout was more of a signal that what I was doing was not in my authentic alignment. So I've spent some time sitting back and thinking, what is authentic to me? I'm a creative person. I feel like it feels good to live in devotion to the creative spirit. And okay, so what does that mean? And then the more I sat with this, the more I started to realize, okay, if this is about authenticity, what am I doing in this artistic creative process that is not authentic? And a lot of it was the marketing for me. I was doing things and creating content about the things that I was doing and creating with the hopes that people would like it and that I would be perceived a certain way. And so what I was doing was creating for other people and the validation of other people. It's one thing to create a custom piece and you're making something for someone. And so there's this paradox with art in that what I'm creating is of service to you guys. I'm not creating what I create to keep it most of the time. I do desire for it to be seen, to be valued by people who I'm creating it for. I don't know who I'm creating most of my art for most of the time, but what I do know is that when a piece resonates with me, I keep it, and most of the time they don't. I enjoy the process of making things. For me, my art practice is very much about the process, but I am making these things for you. You find lovely people of the internet. When I get too lost in the weeds about that and I'm constantly thinking about what you're going to like and what's going to sell and how I'm going to make money and how I can design something that's going to sell, the more I was burning myself out, because the thing is, I would make those things that I thought were going to sell, were going to be hot ticket items, and they weren't. They wouldn't sell. I have a handful of stuff that I've created that is like okay, but hasn't sold because guess what? I was making it from a place of not being aligned with my creative vision and my creative voice. I was thinking too much about how it was going to be perceived by other people. And so I think you can apply this outside of creativity in what are you doing in your life that feels like a monumental effort because what you're doing is actually to be seen as acceptable by the world around you. Cut it out. It's hurting you. It's literally hurting you. And when you start to shine that light of your own true authenticity, you're going to find people who actually really resonate with that. And sure, some losers are going to fall away. And it can be that like the people in your life are not actually losers. They're just not in alignment with you and who you are. And like it's going to get lonely for a minute, but you'll find your people the more that you're authentic with yourself, to yourself. Creating for an algorithm, I think that this is a conversation that a lot of people are having, is the algorithm defines our culture in a lot of ways. Instagram baddies, the Kardashians, the next new hot item on the TikTok shop that's going viral that everybody must have. We're catering as creatives to that beast, and you're never going to win. You're always going to be chasing your own tail because you can never really predict what that's going to be. And I know for a lot of us who are true artists and true creatives, it is not within our scope to create virality and to create things that are going to be hyper consumed. Like, in fact, that has been something that has kept me at bay from truly trying to pursue social media. I do not want anything that I create to be something that is consumed and thrown away. That hyper consumption monster where I make a necklace and you buy it, and then next year you throw it away because there's the next necklace. And I understand that there's this tension where, like, that's none of my business, right? How you consume is none of my business. But as somebody who's on the internet, who's promoting things and asking you to buy them, it feels slimy. It feels so slimy. I'm not going to convince anybody that they need what I have to offer. If you feel a resonance with what I'm offering and you would like to purchase it, great, it's available. It's just this weird, uncomfortable thing where I found myself for a long time chasing the approval of the algorithm. And that is just an impossible fight. I have yet to figure that out. And I don't think that it is something worth finding out. So, coming out of burnout, rest might be necessary. Rest really might be necessary. Taking some time to sit back and think, what am I doing that is not really in alignment with what I want to be doing and who I am. And sometimes you might have to do things you don't want to do. But if it feels like a great burden on your soul to show up a certain way, stop showing up that way. You're only going to hurt yourself. So, getting in touch with your authenticity and who you are and what you want, even if it's scary and unconventional, that's something that is going to be really important as being like one of the first steps to getting out of burnout. While you're doing that, you're probably going to be resting. You might take a break, and that's okay. Sometimes you have to take a break and get a little separation from what you were doing to step into what you want to do and get a little bit of space between those identities. That's what I did. And once I really truly took a step back and got some rest, I ended up getting a part time job that forced me to spend the time that I would be sitting in my studio thinking about how I don't know what I want to do with my life. It forced me to be out of the house and out of my space and forced me to learn my social skills again. Because one thing that happened during my healing is I changed. I became a different person in a lot of ways. And being so isolated, being self-employed, and really only hanging out with my husband and a very small handful of other people, I didn't really fully get to see who I was. I had changed and I could feel it, but I didn't have proof because I didn't get to interact and project this new self onto the world around me. And so having a job that forced me to be a part of my community, especially in a new town because I had moved during all of this as well, I started meeting new people. I started being able to have conversations. And now, after being in this new job for about 4 months, I can genuinely say I can talk to anybody. I am not afraid of people anymore. And the Sabina of March of 2025 would be amazed at who I am right now. Like, I'm not even the same person anymore. So, getting out of your own head, resting, taking a break from the operations that you were operating under is a good way to start to rewire those neural networks. For me, getting a job forced me out of the house, forced me out of the patterns and the routines that I was in that were keeping me in that story of like, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm never going to know. Also, with this is something I'm still trying to figure out, and I'm coming off of a week of reset. But there comes a time when you have to take care of the world around you. And for me, I haven't had my own home in over a year. And during my healing journey, I really spent a whole year, one whole year, contemplating the balancing of a relationship with my mind, body, and spirit. And at the end of that year, I realized how much your home is a connection to all three of those. Your home is your dwelling, your home is an extension of you, it's an extension of your mind, body, and spirit. And when you take care of that, it helps to create a really solid foundation for the other three parts of self. Now, I do believe that there are more than three parts of self, but I just personally spent a year contemplating mind, body, spirit. What is that? How can I have a balanced relationship, fulfilling all of those parts of myself and not just this like kind of low self-esteem, art is the only thing that's good about me, so that's all I'm going to do kind of person. I was trying to create a sense of self while contemplating mind, body, spirit. And the home and the process of taking care of your home and that just little administrative stuff that you have to do around the house was enough of a break in the monotony of constantly worrying about what was wrong with me that when I moved to where I'm at now, I don't live in my own home anymore. I'm living with my in laws, and I'm not complaining about it. I'm just also noticing that when you live in someone else's home, it's not really an extension of you. It's an extension of it's that person whose home it really is. And so taking care of it the same way you would take care of your home isn't really an option. Decorating it, making it yours isn't really an option. So I have my studio. I've made that my own. I actually share it with my husband, so it's not even completely my own, but it's basically the most my own space that I currently have. So I had to come up with what can I really control? I could freak out about the fact that I don't have my own home to take care of. That's not going to get me anywhere. That's actually going to make things worse. So I decided to take control of what do I really have to take care of. I have my car, I have my studio, I have my belongings, I have my cat, and I can keep my spaces tidy and reinstate my tidy tasks and make sure that I am taking care of the aspects of my dwelling that feed my spirit and therefore help create a solid foundation for my creativity and help prevent burnout. So, I had been contemplating this for a few weeks after watching this video that I had mentioned before, and I decided, okay, after looking around, like I haven't been taking care of the home. I haven't had my own home and I haven't had the space to really think about what this means for a year. And so there were some things that needed to be taken care of. I keep my studio fairly clean, but my cat is fuzzy and it's really dusty in here. And so it gets dirty pretty fast. And my car has become a storage unit and different areas where, like, I have a bunch of stuff that I have to use regularly, but it doesn't have a proper home because I don't have a proper home. So it kind of lives in these like various boxes and piles, and things get cluttered and I lose other things. And it was like, okay, enough is enough. So last week, I decided to take a break. I decided to pause all creative devotional activities. My creative output was very, very little, just maybe like an hour most evenings. I would doodle, nothing too crazy. I wasn't sewing, I wasn't making jewelry, I wasn't thinking about YouTube. I was just pausing to take care of my life and take care of the world around me. And I did it. I have my car left and a couple of things that I need help with, but I knew it would take about 2 weeks really to finish, and we're right on time. So I started to create again yesterday. I picked up a new project. I made this journal cover. I made version 3.0. You can hear all about it on my TikTok. Something that I've been practicing this year is not limiting myself creatively with my materials and my mediums. And I'm starting to notice after taking a break how when I have too many projects going, it feels like I'm being spread too thin. And I think that there's even another lesson about preventing burnout with not spreading yourself too thin. I know that, like, to master something, you have to pick something, pick one thing and be good at it and choose to be good at it and show up for it over and over again. And I think I am choosing that with jewelry. I'm just also noticing, like, fabric makes me happy, it brings me joy. I love to quilt, I love to sew, I love to knit and crochet and make fiber things, and I don't think I'm gonna stop doing that. But what I am noticing is that maybe I need to slow down. Being so creatively abundant is really fun, but I recharged during my week of cleaning, basically, and I wasn't using a ton of my creative energy. And by the end of the week, like, I was feeling manic and crazy. I needed to express myself. And so when I did, it felt really good. But it was like day 1 I was painting, day 2 I was sewing, day 3 I was thinking about how I need to start jewelry. And here I am again chasing my tail with all of these unfinished projects that I feel like I'm constantly chasing in circles and circles and circles. And like every time I start a new project, am leaving 3 more unfinished. And then I don't know, it just gets a little chaotic. I think that I am currently in a place where I'm not experiencing burnout over and over and over again. When I start to wonder what it is that I'm doing here and why it's not all like perfect, and why I'm not just raking in all of the money, and why I'm not finding my perfect audience and all of that, I realize I'm not really in the present moment. And being in the present moment is a really big part of enjoying life. You can sit around and contemplate who we are and where we come from, and are we aliens, and are we blah 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 and aliens and fucking what the fuck ever that is the grand plan of the universe. Like for me, all of that gets really stressful and I don't really see the point in it. I don't really see the point in trying to obsess over what my purpose in this life is, because at the end of the day, if I'm not sunk into the present moment, it doesn't really matter. Everything that's outside of the present moment is likely some kind of illusion and some kind of like stress response, truly, where I'm sitting here freaking out because I don't know who I am and I don't know what I'm doing. It doesn't really matter. In order to sink down into the present moment more fully, I am going to attempt to practice working on things one at a time and being a little more intentional with them. Now, with that being said, I think I'm always going to have open ended projects because truthfully, sometimes I want to make jewelry, sometimes I want to sew, sometimes I want to paint, knit, etc., etc. So having one of each iron in the fire, I think is my goal. If I'm painting, I have one painting project that I'm working on, not multiples. If I'm sewing, I have one sewing project that I'm working on, not multiples. And just making sure that I'm not starting more projects than I can truly handle. I don't have it all figured out. It's going to be a process forever. And I have decided I am in devotion to the creative spirit. And I also know that I am a human and I will go through different chapters and phases of life. I'm 29 years old. I had a shift before I got married. I had a shift after I got married. I'm planning on having kids one day, hopefully, and there will be a shift after that. And there will be things that are unforeseen that will cause me to shift again and again and again. And I will constantly be growing and evolving as a person. I do know that to be true. And so, as I grow and evolve as a person, my relationship with my creativity is going to have to evolve as well. I cannot go full monastery mode on my creativity all the time. Sometimes I have a lot of space to incubate and cook and create and just be really abundant about it. Other times I have to be really intentional with my energy because what I'm finding recently is I do actually have a lot of time to incubate, but I also, when I spread myself too thin, I lay around and I think, what am I going to work on next? I have all these open projects and I don't know what to do. Rein it in, girlfriend. We're just learning one day at a time, one day at a time. And I am finding that for me, myself, I need to rein it in and work on things a little bit more slowly, a little bit more intentionally, and with a little more presence. So I don't know what that means exactly yet, but this is just kind of like an aha moment that I'm having after experiencing a break from creating really heavily and taking care of my stuff and taking care of my life and going back to it and already feeling spread thin like 2 days in. And like, I don't have to do that. We get to try things and experiment and see how they feel. And then if it's not working out, chances are you can change your mind and do something else. Make a little adjustment, see how it feels. I'm going to attempt to not have so many projects open, and we're just going to see how it goes. Hey, maybe in 6 months I realize I'm always going to be the person who has a lot going on, and I just need to make sure that I prioritize my life stuff and not worry so much about my open ended projects. Who cares? Maybe that's what it's going to be. I don't know. And I have no way of knowing because I am trying to live in the present moment. So, in this present moment, I'm working on things one at a time. And we'll see how it goes and I'll update you guys along the way. Let me know if you have any questions. I don't know if that was very helpful. That was just my personal experience with burnout and recognizing that a lot of my burnout was self-inflicted. Maybe getting out of your own space and out of your own head and just getting your head out of your own ass every now and then is good for you. That it was good for me. It was really good for me to leave my house. It's been amazing actually to leave my house for 3 hours every day to go do something that has nothing to do with me. I'm there, I'm doing things, I'm talking to people, but at the end of the day, I am working for something that is outside of me. I'm serving a community and being of service in that way. I mean, I'm getting paid for it, but I am offering my skills that I've developed over the course of my career so far to help my community. And that's cool. It's kind of fun. I've learned a lot. I've met a lot of people, and I have regained my social skills in a way that I would never have been able to do if I had stayed home. And learning to take care of my home again. Um, if you don't have a physical home, you have to create a sense of home. And taking care of that and taking care of your life, doing your administrative work, checking your emails, paying your bills, doing your taxes if you're into that kind of thing. Just cleaning up the corners of your life so that when you're creating, you can be present with it. You're not thinking about how, oh shit, I got a pile of laundry I got to finish. Take care of your stuff, take care of your life, and the pieces will fall into place as they will. And it is a constant evolution. You are going to be changing and evolving for the rest of your life. And you can't expect yourself to be able to hold the same kind of energy all the time. Especially for me, I am of the female sex. My hormonal energy changes daily, and therefore my physical energy levels change daily. And honoring that and not feeling like I should be doing something different when I'm day 27 of my cycle and I feel like my brain is dry and I'm wondering what's wrong with me. Oh, yeah, girl, nothing. You're about to start your period. Quit freaking out. Go read a book. Go lay down. You don't have to have it all figured out. Stop spinning your wheels. Leave a comment about whatever resonates with you and subscribe for more content kind of like this. I do art content mostly. I've been doing some tutorial videos, some sketchbook tours, vloggy rants kind of like this. And I took a little break after a sponsorship. Turns out maybe the sponsorship was something that I didn't fully resonate with. It was a great opportunity to learn, but putting that kind of pressure on my creativity, especially with YouTube being something I do this for fun. Yeah, maybe one day it'll support me, but yeah, I'm not opposed to sponsorships. I just did my first one and then I took a break after because I was tired and I was been working and I've been balancing my energy and trying to figure out how to edit while also creating and while also working a job and having a family and a life. So, the grand balancing act of life. You're never truly going to have it all figured out. Oh, go figure. I'll be posting semi regularly, mostly regularly, a couple times a month at least. We're here for the creative journey, and I hope that you're maybe inspired to create yourself or you feel less alone in the world if you've been going through burnout as well. You're definitely not alone, and I think that this is like a culture-wide phenomenon right now. Hey, turns out the life you've been sold is a lie. Hey, it turns out this idea of success is a lie. And it's not going to make you happy. And sure, maybe you'll be Mr. Moneybags for a minute, but at what cost? Weighing your options. What do you value? Only you can decide that for yourself. With that being said, I'm going to go feed my little cheese his bowl of chicken for the night. And then, on a completely unrelated note, I went to the art store today and I got myself a new fountain pen. Just real quick aside, this Twisby fine tip. And then I also picked up some toned paper because I've been really having a lot of fun painting with gouache. And I found this navy blue paper that's not very good for gouache, but I got some mixed media black paper, and then I also got some mixed media sage paper. So that's what I'm going to be doing tonight is playing with this. Should I be editing a video? Probably. I'm not going to. That's tomorrow's task, okay? Non-negotiable. But tonight we're going to have a little fun. Drink a little sparkling water and paint something cute. Okay. Like, subscribe, do all the things. Until next time, friends. Love you. Bye.